Spain once shaped the horses that would influence much of the world. From medieval battlefields to overseas expeditions, these horses carried empires on their backs. But the horses we see in Spain today may not be the same ones that built that legacy. Over centuries, war disappeared, priorities shifted, and breeding changed. And if you look closely, what remains today may only be part of a much older story. Chapter 1: The Horses That Built an Empire. Long before modern breed registries and standardized bloodlines, the horses of the Iberian Peninsula were defined by function rather than appearance. These were not animals bred for display, but for survival, movement, and warfare. During the Reconquista and later the expansion of the Spanish Empire, horses were essential to both military strategy and long-distance travel. They carried armored riders across uneven terrain, endured extended campaigns, and adapted to demanding environments. What mattered most was not size or visual appeal, but endurance, agility, and responsiveness. A horse that could react quickly, maintain balance, and conserve energy was far more valuable than one bred purely for appearance. Early Iberian horses were likely shaped from local populations influenced over time by both European and North African types. The result was a compact, efficient animal with a stable temperament and the ability to move effectively under pressure. These traits made them suitable for both combat and transport across difficult landscapes. By modern standards, they may not appear exceptional, but their value was in their reliability and versatility. They were not specialized, but adaptable, capable of meeting the varied demands of war and exploration. In this sense, the horses that helped build Spain's empire were defined not by how they looked, but by what they could do. And it was this practicality that made them indispensable for centuries. Chapter 2: What changed the bloodline? As the role of warfare declined across Europe, the function of the horse began to change. By the 18th century, horses were no longer central to battlefields, but increasingly associated with status, culture, and controlled disciplines. In Spain, this shift led to a gradual transformation in breeding priorities. Traits once valued for survival in war, such as endurance, adaptability, and efficient movement over long distances, were slowly replaced by an emphasis on balance, refinement, and aesthetic form. The horses now known as Andalusian or PRE, Pura Raza Española, reflect this transition. These modern horses are bred for structured environments, where precision and controlled movement are more important than the unpredictable demands of combat or travel. Over generations, selective breeding influenced not only their physical structure, but also their movement patterns and temperament. This does not mean that modern Iberian horses are less capable, but they are adapted for different purposes. Their strength lies in control, elegance, and responsiveness within a defined setting, rather than in raw endurance under harsh conditions. As a result, the line between past and present becomes less clear. The bloodline continues, but the function has changed. And this raises an important question. Are modern Spanish horses a continuation of their origins, or a reinterpretation shaped by new priorities? Chapter 3: The Barb Connection. To understand Iberian horses, it is important to consider their connection with North Africa, especially the Barb horse. During centuries of Moorish presence in the Iberian Peninsula, there was continuous movement of people, culture, and animals across the Strait of Gibraltar. This exchange was not a single event, but a long process that shaped both regions. The Barb horse was known for its endurance, resilience, and ability to survive in dry, demanding environments. It was not a large horse, but it had a compact frame, efficient movement, and strong recovery after exertion. These qualities made it valuable for both travel and warfare. When these horses were introduced into Iberia, they did not replace local horses, but gradually influenced them. Over generations, their traits blended with existing populations, contributing to the development of early Iberian types. Historical descriptions often mention horses that were agile, responsive, and capable of sustained effort, rather than large or heavily built. Because breeding at the time was based on function rather than formal records, exact lineages are difficult to trace. However, the shared characteristics between Barb horses and early Iberian horses suggest a clear connection shaped by necessity. As a result, Iberian horses should not be seen as a single, isolated lineage, but as a product of historical interaction. Their development reflects the demands of environment, warfare, and movement across regions, rather than a fixed or purely local origin.
Chapter 4. What People Get Wrong. Today, Spanish horses are often associated with the elegant image of the Andalusian, known for its arched neck, controlled movement, and refined appearance. While accurate in a modern context, this image has led to a common misunderstanding, that these horses are unchanged from the war horses of the past. In reality, although modern Iberian horses share ancestry with earlier types, centuries of selective breeding have altered both their form and function. War horses required endurance, agility, and the ability to respond quickly in unpredictable environments. They had to carry riders over long distances and remain effective under pressure. Modern horses, by contrast, are bred within structured systems that emphasize balance, precision, and controlled movement. Disciplines such as dressage reward refinement, which has influenced breeding priorities over time. This shift does not make modern horses less capable, but it reflects a different purpose. Another misconception is treating Spanish horses as a single, unified type. Historically, the Iberian Peninsula supported multiple horse populations, each adapted to different roles such as war, transport, or agriculture. Over time, many of these distinctions were reduced or merged through selective breeding. What we see today is therefore not an exact continuation of the past, but a refined result of long-term change. The lineage remains, but its expression has evolved. Chapter 5. The Last Traces of the Original Type. Although the original Iberian warhorse no longer exists in a pure form, traces of its characteristics can still be found in certain modern populations. These traces are not exact copies, but reflections of a functional type shaped by history. In some traditional Iberian lines, especially those less influenced by modern performance breeding, it is still possible to observe traits linked to earlier horses. These may include a more compact build, efficient movement, and a level of endurance that reflects practical use rather than aesthetic refinement. There are also rare or primitive breeds, such as the Soraya, that display features considered closer to ancient equine types of the region. While not direct descendants of Spanish war horses, they provide useful insight into how earlier horses may have functioned in terms of adaptability and resilience. However, direct comparisons must be made carefully. Historical breeding was complex and rarely documented in detail, making clear lineage connections difficult to establish. What can be observed are patterns of traits rather than exact continuity. The horses that once supported the expansion of an empire did not disappear, but they changed over time. What exists today is not a preserved original, but the result of centuries of adaptation. Their legacy remains, not as a fixed form, but as a continuing process shaped by both nature and human influence. If you found this video valuable, you may consider supporting the channel through Super Thanks. Your support helps sustain the time and research behind each documentary. For those interested in going deeper, a small selection of carefully chosen books is available in the description. They offer a more detailed look into the history and development of these horses.